Hi guys, I'm Sonal and welcome to my channel. Today I just want to share a weekend trip that we had to our farmhouse in Palghar, which is on the Mumbai-Ahmedabad highway, and it's where my in-laws live, and they have a farm there where they grow bananas and coconuts mainly. So it's about 15 acres and it's beautiful. It's just so calm, and the weather was beautiful this time. It's right on the beach. This was such a perfect trip because the weather has been great here these days, and it was great even there. There was no humidity, it was lovely, breezy. And I wanted to show you this rainwater harvesting lake that we made to harvest the water as well as fill the water table. So this is what my father-in-law got done, and we also have fishes there. Once in a way he calls somebody and they will just catch some fish. So after our beautiful walk, we're back at our home, and this is the farmhouse that is right on the farm, and my in-laws live there, and my mother-in-law is making rice roti for us. And look how she makes it. So she uses her hand to spread the dough on a hot pan, and there are crumbs all over the place, and you'll know why soon. You use a rice flour which is thicker than what we normally use for certain rotis or certain flatbreads that we make in India. And here she adds some ghee, and then you cover it up and it gets nice and crisp. So if you've eaten dosa, you would know what I'm talking about. It's almost like dosa, but it's a little more crunchy, or it has a sort of thicker mouth feel, because dosa is fermented and it breaks very easily and it's light. This is not fermented, so it's rice flour, tablespoon of wheat flour or something like that, but it's mostly rice. And she added some oil because this was the first one, and the first one always tends to stick to the pan, and it's one of my favorite things to eat here, and every time I go there I indulge. So this is the second one, and once she spreads it by hand, she has to wash her hand, and she has a bowl of water right next to her, because that's the traditional way of doing things. We did not have running water in the kitchen in the olden times, and she's been cooking since that time, and it also saves you a lot of time. So you just dunk your hand in the water and wipe it off. So now she spread the second one and some more ghee, and this time she won't put oil. Now this is eaten with eggs. So she normally makes an omelette for us, and which is what she's doing. She's chopping some green chili. She already has onions. Okay. And then I tell her that my husband doesn't want to have chili in his, so she takes that off. She's going to mix all of this, some salt, and here are some bottles of drinking water. In the meanwhile, she took the dosa off, and you can see that there's so much to do because she's making for all of us in one go, and she wants everybody to eat hot food. So there is a technique and a trick and a system that she needs to follow. Of course, she's been doing that forever, so she finds it very simple to do that. Now the next one, and this is how you clean the pan right there, so you don't waste time and the pan doesn't cool down and stuff like that. And that's how you have crumbs all over the place. But after you're done, you're going to wipe the whole thing off and everything is going to be fresh as new. Now this is the omelette, and she's flipped it over. Some black pepper. I want you guys to hear the crunch of this thing. So I'm going to eat it without the egg. Here is one village close by that we went to, and these are oysters. So this is how they come. They're right on the rock and they have to be broken and gotten home. And I was chatting with these ladies for like about at least 40 minutes because they were doing this job for a long time. So they were telling me how it sometimes hurts them. So their husbands will go and they get them home, and the women are the ones who do the trade, and they cut and open, clean, and also sell at wholesales. And another interesting thing they said was that they don't eat oysters because they said this is our business. I mean, it's a different emotion which probably I couldn't grasp. What they meant was that they are so attached to it that they don't normally eat oysters, which was interesting. So this is what the oyster looks like after cleaning. There's a hard shell kind of thing that has to be removed, which is what she's doing, and she's putting it in the water. We had such a lovely long chat with them, and they were such wonderful people. And we have a tiny one here who is also helping out. And this is where they live. These are their houses. You know, when I actually went to ask them for the rates, because I had never bought oysters like this, you tell us how much you want, and I had no idea. So I'm like, okay, so 400. So she's like, yeah, it'll be like a basket full. And I'm thinking it's like maybe 20 oysters or so. And I said, okay, fine. And I said, give me a good rate. She said, yeah, okay. And then I see them just dumping loads of oysters here, and they just kept cleaning for 400 rupees, which is about like $5.50 or so. They did clean a lot, and I was feeling bad for them. So finally I told them not to give me too many. I took like 3/4 of the oysters that they were offering, and I also paid them 500 because they were such lovely people. They are all family members, like cousins, and they all have their own businesses, but when they're cleaning the oysters, they all come together and help each other, which is such a wonderful community habit, which I think the modern progressive societies are missing these days. Sense of community, the sense of togetherness that they have. Even when I talk to the maids that work for me at home, they're all like an extended family, and they support each other at the time of crisis. And that's how, these people survive. And these are the beautiful kids who were all interested in me because I was recording. I've seen that this community, especially, they help each other to a great extent. I'll probably share a story about this in my next video, which I thought it is heartwarming and touching. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the video and will give it a like button, subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching. Also, if you're enjoying this format of videos, let me know in the comments. I like to hear from you, especially if you have any specific comments or feedback. Here they're sharing their recipe of making oysters with me. They put water in it and they gave me the oysters in that jar. That's how we carried it home. I got it to my in-laws place first, and from there we took it in an ice box back home. I was told that they will stay good for at least 7 days in that water in the refrigerator. Once we got back to our house in Palghar, that's my in-laws place, I wanted to try out a recipe immediately to taste the wonderful fresh oysters. So here I have some chickpea flour, to which I've added some salt, black pepper and turmeric, and I also added some water and some coriander leaves, and I'm mixing the oysters in that, and it's kind of like a paste. So you can add as many oysters as you want. I just made sure that most of the batter was getting used up, and I've put that in a pan in some oil. So I hate deep frying because it wastes a lot of oil, and this is normally a deep fry recipe, but I'm kind of shallow frying somewhere in the middle. They were quite delicious, especially my husband liked them. So we fried it for about like a minute or so on each side and got it out, and this would go so well with any bread as a sandwich. And then the next batch, I added a lot more of the flour and a little bit more of the spices. So I added some chili powder to it, but we liked the first version a little better. So once I got home to our own house, I wanted to try the Taiwanese street food, which is called an oyster omelette. And this is almost like a pancake at the bottom, and then there's eggs and oysters, but somehow it's called an omelette. So this is made from a base of tapioca starch. Put it on a hot cast iron pan along with olive oil here, and then you beat an egg. I've seasoned it with salt and put that on top. So once you think that the bottom is kind of crisp, you break this into pieces. In the meanwhile, I've also added the oysters on one side of the pan, but you still want to get the pieces all crisp. You can turn them over. I'm also cooking the oysters, and surprisingly, the oysters are not put on the egg. They are somehow just sort of stir fried, and I'm serving this with a simple ketchup mayonnaise kind of sauce for my kids. This is of course for them because I don't use any starch for my recipes. But I did try an oyster omelette which was devoid of any starch. This is the second one that I made for my daughter, and in this one I just decided to place the oysters on top of it, and when I flipped the omelette I decided that it's just going to get cooked along with that. So these are few other recipes I tried with the oyster. I also tried a few others because I made an Indian recipe with that, an oyster curry kind of thing. But those 400 rupee or actually 500 rupee oysters lasted us like 4 meals. Not everybody wants to eat it, so it's not a mainstream food, but we did enjoy it.